It's always a pleasure to have you on our newspaper review segment this morning on Citizen 93.7 FM. My name is Lawrence Omoite. Welcome to the show. As usual, we will be taking a trip around the pages of the papers, and later we will look at some of the stories in details. I will start off with the Guardian newspapers this morning, and the paper leads with the story, Health Concerns over Affordability, Safety, Quality of Infant Meals. That's the lead story on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. And still staying with the Guardian newspaper, Nigeria to spend 6.7 trillion naira on minimum wage, ex-militant others. Senate erupts as Edo seeks executive session on fuel subsidy proceeds. And still staying with the Guardian newspaper, anxiety as delegates elect new Ohanaeze Ndigbo leader today. And NACON, an upbeat swing for Hajj 2025. Afenifere alerts Southwest governors as experts tackle FG on terrorism funding. And China backs standby force military training to end insecurity. And Southeast clerics allege governors politicking with Kano's deal. And how Nigeria maritime law shields foreigners, weaken local firms. And the CBN suspends export proceeds repatriation extension. All the stories on the front page of The Guardian. Still staying with The Guardian, Anglican bishop weeps over insecurity, task citizens. And boundary, federal government sues for peace as Abia Cross River renew hostilities. Pope Francis urged global dialogue to prevent world war. Police, family bicker over autopsy report in Delta. Governor Mba signs land use regulation creates new urban areas. And court summons Minister AGF over expatriate levy implementation. Lagos lowers FAAC expectation, targets 2.3 trillion naira internally generated revenue. And on the foreign scene, tension rises as main opposition leader returns to Mozambique. Navy dismantles 9 illegal refining sites in Ondo State. Lagos court jails 2 men for dealing in hard drugs. And Abuja explosion, residents allege terror threat seek security. Internet fraudster backs 2 years for feed property to federal government. And Lagos teacher remanded for assault in decent treatment of pupil. UK on red alert over jump in government borrowing cost. And we move on to the Punch newspaper. Nigeria-China plan collaboration on military training and production. And man jailed 2 years for defrauding American of $345,000. President Biden, Trump pay last respect as former president. Carter is buried. Power stagnates at 4,500 megawatts despite $3.23 billion loans. And Lagos female teacher remanded for assaulting 3-year-old pupil. Afenifere Igboho offer support as police squad combat Southwest bandit. And inflation may drop to 27% by December, that's according to a report. And PDP Okwebolo disagree over 83 billion naira diversion by local government chairman. And Trump fails at Supreme Court to stop harsh money sentencing. Pro-Wike lawmakers override Fubara's assent on 3 bills. And we move on to the Tribune newspaper. President Tinubu seeks China's increase in currency swap deal. And fuel subsidy proceeds, Finance Minister demands closed-door session with lawmakers. Federal government rejects foreign mercenaries in tackling insecurity. And Tinubu meets China's Foreign Affairs Minister in Abuja. And we move on to Daily Trust newspaper. Many killed as gunmen attack Katsina village. That's the lead story here. Northern Group demands VAT reduction to 3%. And man arrested over assault on minor. And insecurity, federal government rolls out foreign mercenaries. And why Nigerian workers are becoming less productive by the day. China offers 1 billion yuan grants to Africa. Our leadership newspaper is next here. Intercepted 59 minors. Kano senator stops tracking probe. Kano senator stops trafficking probe. And Borno government spends 9.6 billion naira for locals international scholarships in 2024. Nigeria ranks 6th African country with cheap fuel prices. We move on to the Vanguard newspaper. An SEC set to improve framework on borrowing by governments and corporates. CBN suspends extension of export proceeds on behalf of exporters. An MBS to include prostitution, other illegal activities in GDP calculation. We must pray for Okwebolo, Tinubu, others to avoid disobedience to the word of God. And mass abductions, Southeast tops ransom payments account for 40% nationwide. And Tinubu, others probe into soldiers killing in army base attack. Nigerians face massive Schengen's visa rejection. Court order Okiro withdraws from Ohanaeze Ndigbo election. All right, we move on to the Nation newspaper now. Edo Idris take first shot as 2025 budget defense opens. And still staying with the Nation newspaper, new minimum wage for review in less than 2 years. This is according to the federal government. And federal government rules out mercenary to fight terrorists. Okiro withdraws from Ohanaeze election. Federal government threatens to terminate road contracts in Southeast, South-South. Ex-Abia Governor Oji linking EFCC forfeiture to me is malicious. Court freezes General Hydrocarbons account over $225.8 million debt to First Bank. Nigeria seeks raise in $2 billion currency swap deal with China. The Sun newspaper is next now, and it leads with the story, go after attackers of police station in Borno. This is a command by the IGP. Police arrest woman, one other for physically abusing 5-year-old stepdaughter. And police identify detained officer caught in viral video of Chief Okoya's son allegedly abusing Naira. Kudos trail. Okay. Governor Mohammed is playing irresponsible politics that's coming from the presidency. All right, we'll take a short break now. The program will return in a moment. Please don't go away. It's still newspaper review on Citizen 93.7 FM here in Abuja.
Ká jọjọ Miliki, ẹ jẹ́ ká jọjọ Miliki, óyá óyá óyá, ẹ jẹ́ ká jọjọ ẹ̀sọ́ pẹ̀lẹ́ níjó wa, óyá óyá óyá.
This is Evangelist Professor Ebenezer Obey. I also enjoy listening to Citizen FM 93.7 Abuja. Please keep on listening to the soul of the nation. Thank you.
Olúwa mi, mo jáde lọ láti ṣe iṣẹ́ òòjọ́ mi. Ìwọ nìkan lèmi ò mọ̀ lọ́rọ̀ lérò àti níṣẹ́. Ẹ jẹ́ ká jọjọ Miliki, ẹ jẹ́ ká jọjọ Miliki, óyá óyá óyá, ẹ jẹ́ ká jọjọ ẹ̀sọ́ pẹ̀lẹ́ níjó wa, óyá óyá óyá.
This is Evangelist Professor Ebenezer Obey. I also enjoy listening to Citizen FM 93.7 Abuja. Please keep on listening to the soul of the nation. Thank you.
Olúwa mi, mo jáde lọ láti ṣe iṣẹ́ òòjọ́ mi. Ìwọ nìkan lèmi ò mọ̀ lọ́rọ̀ lérò àti níṣẹ́.
Citizen FM Abuja, now we be the voice of the people. Citizen FM Abuja, now we be the voice of the people. Citizen FM, make we join our hearts to build a nation of our dream. Citizen FM. Your problem is my problem and my joy is your joy. Citizen FM. Make we join our hearts to build a nation of our dream. Citizen FM. Yeah, your problem.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. It's still newspaper review on Citizen 93.7 FM Abuja. Welcome to the second half of the show, and this is where we look at some of the stories in details. I am home alone today, and don't worry, we will look at some of the details together. All right, we start with the Nation newspaper. Edwin Idris takes first shot as 2025 budget defense opens. Three ministers took turns yesterday to explain the gains of the stoppage of petrol subsidy payment, budget 2024 implementation performance, and the importance of the national identity scheme. The ministers are Mr. Wale Edun, Finance Minister, and the Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Atiku Bagudu, that's the Minister for Budget and Economic Planning, and also Mohammed Idris, Information and National Orientation Minister. It was during a special budget defense session organized by the Senate Committees on Appropriation, Information and National Orientation for some ministers, departments, and agencies. The senators sought explanation from Edo and Bagudu on the gains of petrol subsidy removal and the amount spent on debt servicing in 2024. Idris, who was represented by the Director General of the National Orientation Agency, Malam Lanre Issa Onilu, and the News Agency of Nigeria Managing Director Ali Muhammad Ali, explained the need for the National Identity Project being championed by the NOA. And the Finance Minister will explain the extent to which last year's budget had been implemented, especially its capital component, was asked by a member of the committee, Senator Abdul Nengi, to explain how proceeds from petrol subsidy removal were applied in 2024 fiscal year. The minister requested the committee to allow him provide answers in an executive session, which was granted by the committee chairman, Senator Solomon Adiala. 3 ministers take first shot as 2024 budget defense opens. That's from The Nation newspaper. And still staying with the Nation newspaper, new minimum wage for review in less than 2 years. The Minister of State for Labour and Employment, Nkiruka Onyejocha, has affirmed that President Bola Tinubu remains committed to reviewing the minimum wage after 3 years. Onyejocha further stated that the current minimum wage will undergo a review in less than 2 years. She spoke in Umuahia during a briefing after meeting with labor leaders in Abia State. She emphasized that the president is deeply committed to the welfare of workers and is determined to fulfill every promise made to them. New minimum wage for review in less than 2 years. Federal government. That's from the front page of The Nation newspaper. And still staying with The Nation newspaper, federal government rolls out mercenary to fight terrorists. The federal government would not hire mercenaries to fight terrorism banditry in the north, Foreign Minister Ambassador Yusuf Tuga said yesterday. He explained that engaging mercenaries, which are private armies, to tackle insecurity is unsustainable. The Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa also ruled out the use of mercenaries, saying the nation's military is capable of fighting and winning the battle. Tuga made the clarification at the State House, Abuja, during a joint conference with his Chinese counterpart. The Chinese Foreign Minister is in Nigeria on a visit to strengthen bilateral ties. Noting the limitations of deploying private military companies for security tasks, the minister said fully equipped Nigerian agencies can meet the challenge. Federal government rolls out mercenaries to fight terrorists. All right, this is another story on the front page of The Nation newspaper. Federal government threatens to terminate road contract in Southeast, South-South. The federal government yesterday restated its resolve to terminate contracts for road projects not delivered on scheduled dates. The warning followed an observation by Works Minister Dave Umahi of slow work pace on major projects in the South-South and Southeast by the contractors. Some of the projects inspected by the minister are Section 3, that's Umuahia Aba, of the Enugu-Port Harcourt Expressway being handled by Arab contractors, alignment of Section 4 of the Aba-Port Harcourt Highway by CCCEC, and Bado Bonny Road by Julius Berger. The minister used the opportunity of the project's inspection to address concerns about government's abandonment of 4 legacy roads. He clarified that the Bola Tinubu's administration has resolved to inaugurate some road projects between next month and May. Umahi, according to the Director of Press and Public Relations, directed Federal Controllers of Work to submit list of completed roads for inauguration. We move on to The Guardian newspaper now, and this story: anxiety as delegates elect new Ohanaeze Ndigbo leader today. No fewer than 300 delegates are expected to vote as the Apex Igbo Socio-Cultural Organization, Ohanaeze Ndigbo, elects its new leadership for another 4 years. The election is expected to be held at the Old Government Lodge in Enugu. Would likely see a Rivers State person emerge as the group's president general for the first time since the zoning arrangement was introduced among the 7 Igbo-speaking states that make up Ohanaeze. While Abia would produce the deputy president general, Anambra State would produce the secretary general, Ebonyi State would produce the national legal advisor, Enugu State will produce the national treasurer, and Imo State will produce the national publicity secretary. Each state, except Rivers and Abia, would also produce a vice president. Okay. Is Nze Fidelis Ochichukwu, the last occupant of the President General's seat, hails from Imo State. He succeeded the late Emmanuel Iwanyanwu and the late Professor George Ubizo. All of whom were from Imo State but died in office. But today's election is riddled with challenges as a faction of the group a few days ago announced Jackson Omoenazwe as the President General, with 10 others as its national executive members. Assisting with the Guardian newspaper, Governor Mohammed playing irresponsible politics, says presidency. The presidency has criticized Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed, accusing him of engaging in irresponsible politics and failing to address pressing issues in the state. In a statement released yesterday by the Special Assistant to the President on Media and Public Communication, Sunday Dari, the presidency affirmed President Tinubu's focus on national development and improving the welfare of Nigerians. According to the statement, the Tinubu administration prioritizes collaboration with sub-nationals and key stakeholders on issues that impact Nigerians rather than engaging in personality politics. Dari noted that President Tinubu, having secured a national mandate, remains committed to fulfilling his promises and will not be swayed by pseudo-activists and later-day crusaders. The statement further highlighted Tinubu's belief in institutional processes, citing his stance on the ongoing tax reform bill. Said the president encouraged individuals and groups with concerns about the bill to engage through the legislative process, describing attempts to derail the process as undemocratic and self-serving. Well, that's all we can take on newspaper review this morning. The program returns on Monday with another edition. My name is Lawrence Omoiti. Enjoy the rest of your day.